Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. We've all been there, right? That moment when a piece of criticism just hits you, and man, it stings. But what if? What if you could completely change how you feel about it? Today, we are going to dive into exactly that. How to turn feedback from something that stops you in your tracks into the very fuel that pushes you forward. You know, this quote from Johnny Uzzini really just nails it. Criticism can feel so personal, like it's an attack designed to tear you down. But what if it's not? What if it's actually a tool? A tool that, if you learn how to use it, can build you up stronger than before. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at why criticism hurts so much. Then, we'll talk about building up your defenses. After that, we'll get into thinking instead of just reacting, figure out who you should actually listen to, and finally, wrap it all up with a solid plan for growth. All right, first up, we have to talk about the sting. I mean, before we can get better at handling criticism, we have to be honest about why it hurts, why it can feel like a weapon, and why it's so hard to just, shake it off. I want you to really think about this. How many amazing ideas, starting a business, writing that book, chasing a dream, have just fizzled out because of this fear? It's not a small thing. Just the thought of being criticized can be the biggest wall between you and what you really want to do. And here's where it gets kind of weird. See, on one hand, our brains are basically hardwired with this ancient primal fear of rejection. Back in the day, if you got kicked out of the tribe, that was it, a death sentence. And that programming, it's still in us. But on the other hand, the criticism you face today, it's not going to kill you. It's an emotional challenge for sure, but it's not a physical threat. Realizing that mismatch is the very first step to getting control over your reaction. So if the battle is happening inside our own heads, then our defense has to be internal too. This leads us to the idea of building your inner armor. Look, if you know criticism is part of the game, your best defense is resilience. It's like your own personal shield against all that negativity. So how do you actually build this armor? Well, here are 6 really practical strategies. It all starts with your surroundings, having a solid network of supportive people. Then it's about your internal world. Learning to see change as a good thing, being optimistic, and just taking care of yourself. Sleep, food, exercise. And finally, it comes down to your mindset. Be a problem solver and have clear goals. Each one of these makes you tougher and more able to bounce back. And a huge part of building this resilience is mindfulness. All it really means is creating a tiny bit of space between a feeling and your reaction to it. Mindfulness lets you see the sting of criticism, nod at it, and then choose not to get swept away by it. It's kind of like being the calm eye in the middle of a hurricane. Okay, once that emotional armor is getting stronger, it's time to sharpen our intellectual defense system. This is all about shifting gears from reacting to thinking, using logic to handle that first knee-jerk emotional punch. Let's just take a second here. I want you to ask yourself this honestly. When someone criticizes you, what's your go-to move? Is it that flash of anger? Do you get defensive? That's an emotional reaction. Or do you pause, analyze what they said, and then choose how to respond? That's a logical response. Knowing where you stand right now is everything. And the good news is, making that shift from reacting to responding is a skill you can actually train. The more of an expert you become in your thing, the easier it is to judge feedback. Practice analyzing stuff, read reviews, write reviews, get into friendly debates to make your own argument stronger. But probably the most important thing, learn to question yourself and separate the hard truth from what just feels good to believe. This trains your brain to process criticism, not just feel it. So, we've worked on our internal defenses. Now, let's look outward. It's time to talk about knowing your critic. Because here's the deal, not all feedback is created equal. The real skill is learning how to sort the valuable signal from all the useless noise. First up, we have the irrelevant critic. This is feedback from someone who might be jealous or just plain mean, or maybe they have good intentions but honestly have no clue what they're talking about. The strategy here is super simple. Recognize it for what it is, it's just noise. You can thank them politely and then you just move on. Do not waste a single drop of your energy on it. Next, oh boy. This one might be the most dangerous of all, your inner critic. You know the voice. It's in your head 24/7, but here's the big secret about that voice. Its main goal is not to help you succeed. Its job is to keep you safe. It's trying to protect your ego by stopping you from taking any risks that might lead to failure. It will always choose comfort over growth. So how in the world do you fight back against that? Ask yourself this one simple question. The next time that voice starts getting really harsh, just stop and ask, would I ever talk to a good friend this way? The answer, of course, is almost always a big, fat no. And that question just instantly shows you how unfair and cruel that inner critic can be. And finally, we get to the good stuff, the constructive critic. This is the absolute gold standard. The feedback is meant to help you. It's coming from someone who actually knows their stuff, and they have your best interests at heart. This isn't something you should fear. This is a gift. This is the kind of feedback that can literally shave years off your learning curve. Which brings us to our final section, having a process for growth. Because now that we know how to spot good, constructive criticism, what do we actually do with it? We need a plan, a step-by-step process for putting it into practice. I love this quote from A.R. Rahman because it just sets the stage perfectly. We need criticism. Without it, we get lazy, we get complacent, but like he says, the key is that it has to be constructive and it has to be true. That's the stuff we're looking for. So here it is, a practical 6-step plan you can literally start using today. 1, confirm the source is legit. 2, shut up and listen. I mean, really listen without getting defensive. 3, ask questions. Make sure you get it. 4, always thank them for their time. 5, take that info and really process it. Decide how you're going to use it. And finally, step 6, and this is the most powerful one, apply what you learned and then go back and ask for more. That right there creates an amazing feedback loop for getting better. You know, at the end of the day, it really comes down to this. If you are trying to do anything, say anything, or be anything that matters, criticism is not optional. It's inevitable. It means you're actually in the game. And since you can't avoid it, having a plan for it is absolutely crucial. So let's wrap up with this final idea from Margaret Chase Smith. This quote, to me, is the ultimate goal. It's about a total mindset shift. We get to a place where we don't just tolerate criticism, we actually start looking for it, the right kind of course, because we know it's the fastest way to grow. And that leaves you with one last question to think about. It's not about if you're going to get criticized. It's about who you will choose to listen to. So whose advice, whose feedback will you actively go find to help you on your journey?